Hey, peace and blessings, family. Nero here. In this video today, I want to talk with you guys today about the Sun in Aquarius, more specifically, my interpretation of the Sun in Aquarius. And with that being said, let's get right into it. So, with having a Sun in Aquarius, you can also look at having Sun in Aquarius as Sun in the 11th house, and having the aspect Sun conjunct Uranus and Sun conjunct Saturn, because the 11th house and Saturn and Uranus all, influence Aquarius. So, yeah, and this is where Aquarius gets those energies from, specifically Saturn and Uranus. So, I'll get to that. Now, Sun Aquarius, this is Sun another air sign, so it's going to have the similarities with Gemini and Libra. And that means that they are all signs that deal with, having that logical approach to things, that rational approach, doing things from an intellectual standpoint rather than emotional, because they're an air element. They are the air element, which, much like Earth, deals with having things be structured and organized and familiar. But the difference between air and Earth is that air does it mentally, and it's more done so with ideas and being theoretical, while while Earth does it more so hands-on. So yeah. Now, when we talk about Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius and what makes them all different, even though they're all air signs, is their modality. Gemini is mutable, so they like to make changes and be adaptable and flexible when it comes to things dealing with set things. Libra is cardinal, so they like to implement and, create things, that are dealing with the things that I said earlier. And Libra is fixed, so they like to be devoted and committed to things dealing, and they like to be devoted and fixated and committed to set things. So yeah, that's the main difference between the three, but they all do the same thing, just on a different way. Now, when we talk about the houses, and the 11th house in particular is different because the third house also draws similarities with the seventh and third houses, which are the houses of Libra and Gemini. But whereas the third house does it, it's like the neighborhood, the local surroundings, and Gemini does it with, that's Gemini. And the seventh house, which is Libra, does it more so with like partners, partnerships. And the 11th house does it with, groups and organizations, which goes hand in hand with, Sun in Aquarius, having a person's actions and wants and what they're constantly being fixated on things dealing with, organizations with, Sun in the 11th house and Sun in Aquarius. So yeah, that's like the main thing you could draw from having a Sun in the 11th house too. A person is much like Sun in Aquarius. What a person is constantly aware of and what their actions and wants are going to be geared towards is things dealing with, groups, organizations, circles. And there's also the 11th house dealing with hopes and, dreams, and the gains you can make and, wish fulfillment. But I don't, I, those are important, but to keep it really simple and to make the most, to keep it the most simple, because those do play a part too. I just want to talk about, the groups and the circles for the most part. So yeah. Now, with Sun and Aquarius, I did mention having like Sun conjunct Saturn, Sun conjunct Uranus aspect. So what this means is that, Sun conjunct Saturn, a person's conscious awareness and where, and then, a person's conscious awareness could be in hand with how, one is going to experience limitations and restrictions. Um, all this pretty much means with this aspect is that, much like Capricorn, um, a, um, a person's, expression, and the actions that they take and what they want is going to be very limited and very restricted and very, you know, um, grounded in reality because of that influence from Saturn, and because of these things, or more so because of that influence from Saturn, with the Aquarius, much like Capricorn, they tend to come off as being unemotional or unavailable. But the truth of it is, because Saturn is a planet that deals with Earth and not so much, water and fire, that it's mainly that which leads to like the aloofness, and it's never anything personal, which is how people who are more emotional, much like myself, will tend to think it is, but it is not. That's just the Saturnian influence. And yeah, that's that main influence between Capricorn and Aquarius. They have that Saturn thing going on. So their emotional expression, the sun, because the sun is a fire planet, is stifled because of this, influence from Saturn. That's mainly why I say Sun conjunct Saturn, and why what a person's actions and where they, and how they, experience restrictions and all that is going hand in hand. And I know it's a bit repetitive, but hopefully that makes sense. And if it's not, feel free to leave it down in the comments. And now, when we talk about Sun conjunct Uranus, Uranus is a planet that deals with, being non-traditional, going against the grain, bringing about change, being rebellious, being different, opposing the norm, the status quo, and all that, and the way society works. And so, when you connect this with the sun, conjoin it with the sun, all this means that what a person's, actions, what they're consciously aware of, it's a hand in hand with how it's hand in hand with how they like to oppose things and how they oppose the status quo and how they're different and like to bring, how they bring about change and all that and how they're more radical. And then, just putting it like this is why, when knowing this, we can see why Aquarius tend to be a lot more, eccentric and a lot more different and stand out more than, the other signs because of the influence from Uranus. And at first you would think they're like Leo, but they're not. They're like Leo and Aquarius. They have the similarity, but Leo is more geared towards the self and self-expression. While Aquarius, the main difference is Leo's geared towards self-expression. For the self. They're the sign of selfishness. Self-love kind of selfishness, not narcissistic kind of selfishness. But if it's highly unconscious, it can lead to that. And then Aquarius is like Aquarius is also self-expression, but their self-expression is more geared towards the collective, and groups and organizations and society, and trying to bring about change and do things differently, so society can have a new approach to things. So yeah, and I get a little bit more in depth to this, and when talking about the videos where I just talk about the zodiac signs of Leo and Aquarius, and also in a video where I say the self and the selfless. So yeah. But yeah, with this being said, this is gonna be my interpretation of the Sun in Aquarius. If you enjoyed it, have anything you'd like to add, feel free to put it down in the comments. And like I always say, more importantly, if you got feedback and criticism, feel free to put that down in the comments because that's what's um, more important to me, and that's always gonna help me out a lot more. So yeah, and not only will it help me out, it's mainly gonna help me serve you guys better, and that's what's important because I don't create these videos just to create, and I really create these videos so that they can help you guys understand certain signs or um, understand certain signs, and if you are that sign, help understand why your psyche is the way it is a bit more, and more so my interpretation on it because everybody has their different interpretation of these things. So yeah, but yeah, like I was saying, this is my interpretation of the Sun in Aquarius, and then I'm gonna talk to you guys in the next video, and that'll probably be a little bit later on because I'm gonna do these videos a lot more slow. But that video is what I'll be talking about the Sun in Pisces. So yeah, until then, I will talk to you guys later, and y'all have a good day, and I love y'all. Peace.